answer for that until tomorrow afternoon sometime. So anyway, here's a quick weather update, but please tell your crew we're watching the weather closely, and we will give you a definite answer tomorrow night. So very broadly look quick at the satellite picture here. We can see there's plenty of activity. There's lots of fronts and various bits and things and cloud masses, and this nasty speckled grey that always produces cold, cold, cold and gusty winds. If we look next up at the 500 millibar chart, this is looking for Saturday, and the feature I want to show you here is this quite upswing in the jet stream, and this upstream usually causes things to slow down underneath this S-bend, and that's why we can see in the next chart we might get some narrowing of the isobars and increased wind over Victoria. Generally, if you don't know where it says 60 knots at 500 millibars, you can pretty much guarantee that it'll be half that on the ground, so 30 knots down on the ground. And we can see this little patch of 80 knots here, and this is the patch that we're watching that could cause us problem on Saturday afternoon. So that's the one that could make it go or stop, and that's the one that we'll be keeping an eye out. So if we go and have a look at the weather map, and we have a look for Friday, and we can see this quite narrowing of the isobars. We can see this west to southwesterly wind when we start on Saturday morning, and then as we go further through Saturday we can see that the southwesterly flow comes through stronger, and the real big issue for us is when this change comes through the bay. So if we go and have a look at Met-I, and Met-I will give us a good idea. And so if we look from 10 o'clock on Saturday, we can see this west to northwesterly flow that we've got, and the real big issue is this particular patch of wind that's going to come through on Saturday afternoon, and whether this actually happens. The models, as we'll see a bit later, don't agree that this is going to happen, so that's why we're not giving you a definitive answer. But you can see at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon this westerly comes through, and it's mostly gone by 4 o'clock that afternoon. So it really depends if this bit of wind gets pushed south, but that's really what we're looking at, is what happens to this wind on Saturday. Alright, if we go and have a look at the predict wind model, and here on the left hand side I've got the PWG or the GFS model, and on the right hand side I have the European model. So it's starting on Saturday, and we'll just go back to somewhere near the start time, which you can see down in the right hand corner there. So 9 o'clock on Saturday, you see we've got both models agreeing on this kind of northerly flow. We can go and have a look at Port Phillip Bay a little bit better, and you can see we've got this northerly flow. And if we just play the model, you can see as the models go along it's showing northerly. This is 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and still northerly, 12, 13, 14, 15, and it's not showing any great increase in the wind, and there we are at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. So the two models are not showing as much wind in the bay, but remember that these two models are broad scale models and not as direct as Met-I. So there we have that, and we'll just go and have a look at our predict wind routing system, and there we can see the course. And if we just play this quickly, you can see that it's fairly speedy in the northwester, and it's holding the northwester to all the way down, and by the time a 40-footer finishes by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they've not struck any wind. So all of the models that are on predict wind are saying the race is a go. It's just Met-I at the moment that's saying it's not. And if we go and look at the tables in the summary, we can see the issue is whether this 30 to 40 knot range is going to last for a long time or not a long time. So anyway, keep an eye on the weather. We'll update you tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get a race in, but if it's too windy we'll have to reschedule to another day. Thanks for listening. Catch you soon.